What about like going out at night into the jungle seems like a terrifying thing to do. Like, what about bigger animals? Like, what kind of animals prey on ocelots? And did you ever come across anything on your night walks that scared the shit out of you?
Nothing scared me more than humans. Humans are the worst. With animals, you can read animals. On one night walk with Khan, it had been raining for days, and this one night it just kind of like it just stopped, and it was just this really silent but like quiet, hot night. And I was like, right, this is the night where everything's going to be coming out. I know that everything's going to be coming out because they haven't eaten properly for a few days. So I went and got Khan, and we went on a walk, and we were hiking, and I'd seen a few little snakes, nothing major. I'd seen a few frogs, but the ones that I'd seen were, toxic for him. He was catching a few little insects, and he would eat insects as like little, kind of like granola bar snacks. And we got to this area, and there was like a few rodents running about, and I was like, cool, this is it. And so he goes after something, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like maybe he's going to catch a rat, and that'll be his dinner, and we can like continue, hopefully find a sleeping bird or whatever. And he's in front of me, and I'm sat down on the forest floor, and I just hear this kind of like, and I was like, that's not Khan. Like, I don't know what that is. Like, my heart started racing, and I wasn't fearful, but the adrenaline was pumping. And so I did have my light, so I was like looking around, and I was like sniffing and like I didn't want to use my light because I didn't want to interfere with Khan hunting if that's what it was. And then I heard like a snap of like a twig behind me. And I'm like, right, okay. So I'm like, I have to turn my light on. And as I turn my light on, I look round, and there's a puma, like a mountain lion, which is about, I would say, it was about 20 feet away from me.
Whoa.
And so it's stalking me in a way, but
One of these guys.
Also, yes, but it also knows that I'm there. It's curious, right? And all of a sudden, I get these claws going up my legs, up onto my shoulder, and it's Khan, right? Because he knows that he's there. So Khan is on my shoulder. He's trying to get to the highest point and the safest place, and the trees aren't going to protect him. His dad is going to protect him, right? So I'm like, oh, here we go. So I don't make any noise. The worst thing that you can do is run from a big cat because they're going to be like, game on. Mm-hmm. So he's on my shoulder. Khan's on my shoulder, and I just have my machete in my bag, and I'm just walking, and I keep turning around, and I keep seeing him, and he's just following me. And I look at the time, and I go, okay, right, I'm about an hour's walk away from where Khan's enclosure is. This cat could follow me for definitely as long as that, but we'll see. If it gets too close, I'll just have to kind of shout. But just walking. I was walking in the jungle with an ocelot on my shoulder and a mountain lion following me for 20 minutes. And I just remember the adrenaline that I had, and I was looking around, and I was thinking, he's still there. He's keeping his distance. He's just curious. Curiosity kills the cat. And if I was any other person, I had a gun, like, that cat probably would have been shot, because, you hear all these stories about mountain lions were doing this and, doing that, and they're just curious animals. They're very, very, intrigued in the smallest of things. And dude, I just remember thinking, fuck, this is nuts. I've got two major cats that I love, and they're within, 10 feet of me.
So he just kept following you, and eventually you got back he just left you alone?
No, just kept following me. And then as soon as I got to this like intersection on the trail, I walked down one, and I was expecting him to go off. He just carried on walking up. He just was like, no, there's no food there for me.
Just past you.
Yeah, I'm not going to waste my energy. What he would have done, he would have killed Khan. But because I was there, he realized that the threat was, major. He was like, there's no way I'm going to get that ocelot. And no joke, I had these big scratch marks in my shoulder and in my leg where he like clawed his way up, and he was just sat there and just like wide-eyed on my shoulder for 20 minutes. And he wasn't super heavy at the time, but like, dude, it was exhilarating but terrifying at the same time, you know.
Wow.
So mountain lion, puma, will kill ocelots. You also have bigger eagles like the harpy eagle. And I've been fortunate enough to see...
Harpy?
Yeah, I've been fortunate enough to see 7 of them. And a lot of people will go their entire lives without seeing harpy eagle. And they are just absolutely incredible.
Whoa, look at that thing, man.
And
that thing's wild looking.
yeah, you see that one on the right there? That one there with the dude? That harpy eagle had actually been shot as a baby. And it's only got one eye. And this dude here, he actually lives in Puerto, where I used to live. And he rescued this harpy eagle, and he basically just it can't go back into the wild.
That's an enormous bird, man.
Yeah. So they're actually sloth hunters. They will take sloths out of the trees, and they will take monkeys out of the trees, and absolutely incredible. But they also will take ocelots if they have the opportunity to. Anacondas. If they get big enough, they will take ocelots. You have big caiman. I think you saw in the documentary where Keanu was on the back of that caiman. That was scary as hell, because one misstep and a wrong jaw will take a leg off, you know.
Right.
And so he needed to learn lessons.
Yes.
I couldn't wrap him
he had to learn
in
the hard way.
wool.
Yeah.
If he was going to get smacked by that caiman, he was going to get smacked by it. If he was going to, be killed by this caiman, I wouldn't have let that happen. I would have intervened. But he needed a snap on the nose, you know?
Right.
And he did. He got that. And if you haven't seen the documentary yet, you'll see it and you'll hear me shout. And they actually had to edit some. I was like, holy fucking shit. Like, you scared the shit out of me. But it was, scary. But I had to let these animals live a wild life.
Yeah.
What were they going to do when I left?
Yeah.
And I eventually had to leave. My physical, my mental, there's only so much time that you can live alone in the jungle. You can do it for a very long time. You can do it. But when you're, alone, not speaking to people, not having, conversations, not getting the right medical attention when you're sick, not eating the right diet, all of these things, you start to deteriorate. And I think that, you can kind of agree with me that you saw me kind of like slowly dipping in my mental health towards the end of the Keanu, because I was ecstatic that he was going to be like free, but I was also so ill and so drained, and so I was on cloud 9, but the storm was above me as well. It was like this.
Were you just scared? Were you dreading the day that he was going to just go out to the wild and not come back and leave you alone? Or what was it about that made you...
I was petrified that he was going to go and he was never going to come back. I was never going to see him and never get to say goodbye because of death, disease, whatever. But I knew that was going to happen. And I think what my mental state was I was... it's hard to say this. I think that I was leaning on Keanu for a redemption of Khan. And obviously I don't want to say too much about Khan and everything that went on with that, because one, I don't really like talking about it, and two, I want people to kind of like read into this story a little bit more. I want people to know about Khan, and I want them to, know about how Keanu helped me get back on my feet after Khan. But I did not want to be the failure that I was with Khan, with Keanu. I think that was the biggest feeling of fear inside me.
Well, it wasn't really your fault what happened to Khan, right?
No.
First of all, I had no idea that people set up trigger traps with shotguns on trees.
Yeah.
What is that about, and why do people? Who puts those things there?
Anybody who wants to try and get a quick meal when they're cruising the river.
So they're essentially shotguns that are mounted to trees at a low level with like tripwires. Is that what it is?
Yes. So the one that he the one that he had found was this kind of makeshift piece of shit that was a metal hollowed out bar with wood, a mouse trap. You basically put the shotgun shell into the metal bar. The mouse trap is set, and the nail, which is attached to some fishing line, is basically the hammer to, to set the shotgun off. And so the fishing line basically goes across the top of what would be the scope, and it's set across a trail so that when an animal or when a human, because I almost got hit by that, I was only about 3 feet away. When that fishing wire gets triggered, it snaps, shoots, and whatever's in front will then either be injured or killed. Majority of the time injured.
Just injured, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah.